more than once tonight. And like that, we're off and running. Welcome to the Krueger Show. That's right. Damon Bruce is in there.
Yeah.
Look at that. Quad box. Big Frank Red. We invited Ryan and Danny. So far, they haven't shown up. And, of course, we got Cy in the house. I'm joking, Cy. I'm joking, Ryan. I'm joking, Danny. We welcome you. The Krueger Show. Let's go.
And Golden Days.
And Golden Days.
And Golden Days.
Well, do we have the Cy open?
Well, I emailed your brilliant son Kevin Krueger, the executive producer of the Krueger Show, that clip once. Not a big deal. Who cares? Let's walk in and roll.
I care.
Oh,
more importantly, the audience cares. And that just ain't right. There's a right way and a wrong way to do these things.
Damon's here, Frank's here.
And let's do it the right way, damn it.
Let's go. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see.
I like this part. The audience going to get them half of the thing. They don't even know if it's planned. They don't know if it's
There we go. All right, we're off and running. That's all we have time for. But thank you, everybody. But welcome to the Krueger Show and Golden Days, and we're having a good time. The Warriors, though, got trounced. They did not have a good time tonight. Game 2, predictably, goes to the T-Wolves. And, guys, no Steph Curry. We talked about this after Game 1, that, almost like the Warriors – they stole one in Game 1. It's like the T-Wolves weren't whatever. Rust, Anthony Davis, or Anthony Edwards wasn't in full rhythm. Whatever you want to blame it on, but the Warriors got the win. T-Wolves, you knew were going to show up in a big way in Game 2. I was hoping that the Warriors could maybe, keep it rolling because they've played such good ball as play team ball and maybe keep this T-Wolves team down. It was not to be. It's a 1-1 series going into Game 3. This one wasn't close. 117-93. Let's go around the room. Cy, of course, since this is also on your channel, why don't you jump in first? But what'd you guys think? I mean, we can analyze it. I don't know if it's worth analyzing this one.
I think there's a lot, man. There's a lot to talk about, I think.
Oh, no, there's a lot to talk about. But I'm just saying this thing was done early, I thought. I mean, I know the Warriors cut it to 10.
13-0 when the game started. I mean, they forgot to tip off. And it's too bad that they dug themselves that hole because they actually did a pretty decent job digging themselves out of it in some ways. But look, there's one good thing that happened tonight. Jonathan Kuminga showed, I think, Steve Kerr that he can have some value in this series, especially when, look, he's not very well fit for their system. They can't run their system without Steph Curry out there. Curry is the system. So you might as well throw some minutes at Kaminga. I was also happy to see Trayce Jackson-Davis, I think, play himself into some minutes here going forward, whether Curry's back or not.
Well, and they cut the lead to 7 in the third quarter. So they came right back in there. And like Damon said, Jonathan Kaminga had a fantastic game. Not a fantastic first quarter like everybody. It was a bad start, and I'll criticize him when it's warranted. Kaminga had a bad first quarter in this game. So did Quinton Post. So did Moses Moody. So did Brandon Pajemski. But then you start the second quarter on, and Kaminga, like you said, Damon, showed that he should have been playing for – like the DNPs are a joke to begin with, but he showed that hopefully he's going to have a role with this team moving forward.
Frank, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think this was more of a fact-finding mission. I mean, if Minnesota just fell on their butts then, and the Warriors hung around, and maybe they could have pulled off a New York Knicks type victory. But if you looked at this strategically, you would think that the T-Wolves would do what they did. They came out, they played aggressive defense, got up 13-0. And what Steve Kerr got a chance to see is who can I potentially depend on. It was really a fact-finding mission. And as you guys have spoke to, the Warriors now have some guys who can contribute. Maybe not in this unique offense, but they have talent. And if they make some adjustments, I think Saturday's going to be a pretty good game because the Warriors can play better defensively. That's where I think they fell short. There was a lot of open shots by Minnesota that can't happen on Saturday. And you got to let a guy like Jonathan Kuminga go out and play because he certainly has talent.
I think if we're looking at this game as a lens through which to look at the rest of the series before Curry rejoins it, again, there might be some good news coming in games 3 and 4. First of all, bench players, role players, always more comfortable at home. Mm-hmm. We got to extend that to Podziemski and Moody. Both those guys stunk out loud tonight. Moses Moody is probably the player I'm disappointed in the most, but for the fact Jimmy Butler's about to make $60 million a year, and he didn't have it within him to take more than 13 shots tonight.
He had 5 in the first half, Damon.
Why was Jimmy Butler stingy with the offense on a night where becoming a distributor is not going to help? You need to score. Someone's going to have to step up and score. I was disappointed in Butler. Again, Kaminga and TJD, I think, are getting some minutes going forward. Pods and Moody can't play worse, so hopefully they play better in games 3 and 4 and get one of these at home. I mean, I think that's the realistic goal. Get one of these games at home before Steph returns, and maybe he's back for game 5. Hopefully you survive. Can't let the series end before he gets back into it in game 6, if that's when he's going to be back. But, you know, there were some positives here, but it was a night where they just – I can't believe they started so poorly. And they just run some pick and roll for dudes. I mean, just make it simple.
You know, based on the way it sounds, I would say I would not get too emotionally invested in the whole Steph when Steph gets back narrative. I think if you're the Warriors, you have to assume that he is not playing anymore in this series. I would say, right? I mean, you got the series where they're going to play they're going to play the third game in 2 days. Mm-hmm. And then the fourth game in 2 days after that, right? So,
well, I've harped on this, Larry. Like, the schedule is weird in the sense that every game has just 1 day in between, except for games 5 and 6. And then you have a weird 3-day gap in between those games. And that's where I think Stephen Curry, if there's hope for him coming back in this series, I've been pointing at game 6 as the hopeful date. But you're right, man. The Warriors have to prepare for life without Stephen Curry. Damon, you're absolutely right. Jimmy Butler played like a man borderline scared tonight. I don't know if if there are residuals from the gluteus maximus injury. I don't know if this is a piggyback from what we saw in the regular season. There were a few games where that the Warriors played, at least 2 without Stephen Curry, where Jimmy Butler looked like this. He looked flat. He looked borderline disinterested. There was no aggressiveness. And you had these attributions coming out from Jimmy Butler saying, we need Steph, right? Well, now you're not going to get him. They traded for you because you're playoff Jimmy. Much more aggressiveness needed. And I'll last note real fast here. I'm done expressing empathy for Anthony Edwards ever again, because he clearly took a page out of the LeBron James playbook, feigning injury to get the crowd into it. I mean, give me a break, man. Like don't lay down there like you're dying and then just come back in the second half.
Hold on, wait. Your tolerance for his pain is very impressive. Trayce Jackson-Davis came down on that ankle. I bet you that shit hurt a lot. And he probably got treatment at halftime. He might have even gotten a shot. So, you know, I wouldn't. I'm
done like crying tears for the guy after that, man. It's like, all right, let's wait until you're actually hurt before I pretend that I'm going to feel sorry for you. I don't like that. We've seen these performances. Paul Pierce was the most egregious, I thought. LeBron James has done this plenty of times. Maybe he's hurt, but I'm done thinking, like shedding tears over the man. Good luck. Moving forward.
He played 79 games this year. He's not one who's faking shit. If Anthony Edwards is down saying I'm hurt, I bet she's hurt.
Guys, looking at this series, I after watching game 1, my takeaway was like, wow, I think the Warriors-Houston series, just was a little bit at a higher level than what Minnesota and the Lakers were at. And I just feel like Minnesota wasn't quite ready for Golden State in game 1. Now, though, you've got a totally different scenario because you've got Curry most likely gone for the rest of the series. What do you do? What do you do in game 3? What's the adjustment in game 3? Because, you can go from up 1-0 to out of this series in a very short amount of time if they don't figure something out. And they got to figure, to me, Kuminga's got to be part of whatever solution they have, just simply because he represents points, and points without Steph are at a premium.
Well, why do you assume that's? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, why do you assume that Stephen Curry's not going to come back this series? I mean,
because he said it was He said it was a new injury.
Yeah,
and then he said in a few days, like, first of all, I just kind of know these hamstring things. Now he doesn't have huge legs, so like Ricky Henderson have a hamstring pull, he'd be out for 2.5 months.
You're scared, correct? Yes.
I mean, sometimes the more athletic the player, the worse the not more athletic, but sometimes the bigger the thighs on the player, the bigger the hamstrings. So Ricky was like almost like a football running back. He had huge thighs. When he pulled his hamstring, he was gone for a long time. Steph is not the same, but he's never had this before, and he pointed that out. And then, I mean, this is like a really tricky thing. I mean, hamstrings are no big deal as long as they get proper rest. But in this situation, that's what you don't have time for. So I would say he'll give it a go maybe at some point, but then you got to wonder, how good is he going to be? Not necessarily on the offensive end, but just trying to hang with anybody on the defensive end. So I would say if you're the Warriors, you should go forward with the mindset you're not going to have Steph.
That's fair.
And I think and I would get real aggressive in how I approach Game 3, because I don't want a long series.
And that's what Kerr needs to preach to Podziemski and Moody. Like, hey guys, you just cannot play like this. You cannot play. You can't hesitate. You can't double clutch. You got to play. Jimmy Butler, you got to shoot. Draymond, you cannot be picking up techs in games like this. You can't be flirting with ejection in games like this. Draymond knows that. He's best out on the envelope, but he needs to pull that envelope in a little bit until Curry rejoins, if at all. And again, Steve Kerr, I don't know how many levers there were to pull to really get a win out of this one tonight with the way that they started. And maybe part of that bad start had to do with Quinton Post not being prepared to play. But to ask that guy to start, give him 3 minutes, and then DMP him the rest of the way when here's the thing. I know this about Quinton Post. He ain't afraid. I'm watching body language that says some of these guys are afraid to take a shot. Quinton Post does not ever have that body language. And
I think the reason why Post did not come back was not offense. I think it was defense, man. And that's been a weak spot of his, even though he was a defensive player of the year in the ACC, right, Frank? I think. But in the NBA, for whatever, and look, it's hit or miss with him defensively. He looked small at times in the Houston series, which is crazy to say for a 7-footer. But Julius Randle was just literally just going right by him tonight. Quinton Post had issues on defense. That's what I saw. I could be wrong. That's just my analysis.
I mean,
he's not a good defensive player.
Trayce gobbled up the opportunity because Trayce did go out and play well tonight. So it looks like he stuck with him. Didn't go to Looney very much. All you need to know is that this is a playoff game on the road, and Braxton Key played. You're fucked when Braxton Key's in a postseason game. Come on.
Fellas, I see some things differently. First of all, Jimmy Butler is going to play his game. I mean, Jimmy Butler throughout his career has never been a prolific scorer. He takes advantage of mistakes by defenders, and he can rack up big numbers, but he's not a prolific offensive player. He ran the offense. I mean, Brandon Podziemski, they got out 13-0. He had 2 driveway jump shots. He missed them both. That's when he got up to a bad start. The auxiliary players have to play their roles. They got to make shots. Jimmy Butler's never going to be that guy. This team got within 7 points midway through the third quarter. So they were right there. Kerr's going to have to kind of refocus on how he puts his team together. Kaminga, Post, you know what? I don't think he's scared. I just think he's weak. All right? And if he's not making shots, from the inception, he can't play. Julius Randle's one of the strongest, toughest guys in the NBA, and he was going through Post. So I think they got to find the 5 best defensive players and really pinpoint where they're going to get offense from. Hopefully, Brandon Podziemski's going to make open shots. Buddy Hield's going to continue to do what he's doing. He's playing pretty good basketball. Jonathan Kuminga is going to be on the floor slashing, looking like the player that we think he can be. And Draymond and Jimmy Butler are going to facilitate the offense and play tough defense. That's how they can win. Their defense was shit tonight. They gave up 117 points. I don't care who's on the court. That should not happen. That's how they're going to win. They're not going to win via offense.
The one positive for Golden State tonight, I thought, was the fact that, they're an older team and they got their players off the floor. I mean, nobody played big minutes tonight. So at least, they lose the game, but at least Kerr doesn't wear his team down in a loss. He played the whole roster. He spread the minute load around, and they took the L. But guess what? They'll be fresher for Game 3.
Yeah, I thought Kerr did a good job emptying the bench. I mean, he played everybody but Raymond Ritter tonight, so there was no one left to play. He played everybody.
Well, did you see that stat? That he went 14 deep tonight, first time since 1998
in the first
that an NBA team.
I think in the first half was part of that. Like he had 14 guys out there in the first half. And, hey, Frank, I hear what you're saying, and you are very right about Jimmy Butler not being a traditional scorer. But circumstances dictate how you got to go out and play. And I just thought for a guy who, a few years ago was getting 27, 28 a night in the postseason, needed to give the Warriors more of an effort. Maybe it's about the gluteus and the injury that he's still not comfortable. I also think Jimmy snookers himself under the basket way too often. Like take one step back. Like Jimmy's way too under the basket at times. He just doesn't have anywhere to go with it. Especially when you got like Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid leaning all over you. But I just thought only 13 shots from Jimmy. If that had been a Vegas prop that I would have bet on going into this game, I would have bet the over, and I would have lost, and I would have been pissed.
He was passive.
Let me say this, though. Yeah. If Pods makes the perimeter shots, then Jimmy Butler's going to be more aggressive on the offensive end because he's playing against one player. Jimmy Butler, as good as he is playing against three guys. They're all focusing their attention on him. It's important that Pods and Buddy Hield make open shots. Buddy was pretty decent. I mean, just like Houston, I said this on this show. Houston thought that Pods sucked, and they let him take those open shots, and he missed a lot of them. Tonight, he missed some driveway jump shots, and those were critical at the start of the game. He got to come out like he played against the Lakers a month ago where he had 27 points. He's a key. If he's going to be on the floor, he has to make open shots. That's going to clear everything up for everybody else. We can't expect Draymond Green.
There's zero gravity pulling anybody out of the lane. I'll give you that. I mean, there was nobody getting it done from downtown. And after two of the worst three-point shooting nights you'll ever see in the postseason, Minnesota had a decent three-point shooting night. I mean, really, It's amazing they didn't beat the Warriors by more than they actually did.
How much do you guys think the success tonight for TJD and Kuminga transitions into Game 3? Does Kerr give them minutes, or
was better, Leary? I mean,
I would think, especially to me, there is no reason to not play Trayce Jackson Davis. This guy played 4 years in the Big Ten. Don't tell me this guy doesn't know how to play. This guy could be a totally key cog hanging out on the baseline, finishing inside and rebounding, giving you a big body, and he doesn't play. I mean, it's like this preference for Looney. I understand Looney, you won rings here, but it's 2025 and the youth needs to be served. And on this team, that youth, he's a big part of that. And they've, this is one thing with Steve. I wish Steve would have gotten to this point with TJD, Moody, and Kuminga with more momentum than they seemingly have. And that
better late than never, though.
Yeah. I mean, if it can, whenever it can start is fine, but we got to see it. It really was.
Yeah, Larry, in the previous show I did for this series on Monday, I brought up the fact that you look at the four matchups these two teams had this year, and whereas Golden State, just like the postseason, right? It's just constantly evolving, changing. Steve Kerr, the mad scientist. Minnesota played the exact same guys in all four of those games, and the Warriors won 3 of them. And Trayce Jackson Davis was starting at least 2, if my memory serves correct. Might have even been 3 of those games, and he played well. Tonight, a perfect 6 of 6 from the field, 15 points, 6 boards in just 19 minutes, 18 seconds. You're absolutely right. There is a role for Trayce Jackson-Davis in this series. There's also a role for Jonathan Kuminga, who led the team in scoring tonight with 18 points in just 26 minutes. But the Jimmy Butler thing, I want to bring up this point as well, because he's passive. And there was a couple plays in particular, one that I actually wrote down in my notes. In the late first quarter, Jimmy had a wide open layup. Like, no one was near him. All he had to do was literally just put the ball up, and he kicked it out. And I think he kicked it out to Guy Santos in the perimeter, and the play just collapsed after that. And I remember watching that going, that's the kind of thing a rookie does. That's the kind of thing someone whose confidence is destroyed does. That's not a typical Jimmy Butler move. I did not understand that at all. And he needs to switch a gear, man, because they're relying on him. Playoff Jimmy. Frank, like you said, he's not typically known for his offense, but in the postseason, I'm actually looking up right now. He's a career 21.1 points per game scorer in the postseason. He does score in the playoffs, and he needs to score if the Warriors are going to have a shot in this series.
Yeah, I mean, playoff Jimmy is got to be playoff Jimmy. He's got to show up if Golden State's going to win, especially without Steph. I don't think he's passive. I think he makes the right basketball play, and he kind of depends on if the play dictates he kicks it out to the perimeter, he's going to kick it out to the perimeter, and this guy's going to have to knock those shots down. But I think out of necessity, you had to have more than 13 shots.
Like, at some point, you got to say, all right, Podziemski, nowhere to be found tonight. Moses Moody is 0 for the month of May.
Ooh, he's bad. Yeah.
So,
he's ice cold.
Yeah. So, don't kick out shit. Get fouled. Go to the free throw line.
Well, I hate that play all the time. I don't care who it is. Stop kicking it out from 3 feet when you have some guy who's your size or smaller. Learn to finish around the rim, for crying out loud. I mean,
the Celtics did the other night?
It's amazing. Why is the 3 always? I mean, Guy Santos's 3 is a better shot than Jimmy Butler trying to finish over a 6'5" guy or 6'6" guy. And so, I mean, it's crazy. 2-footer.
It is.
I'm surprised that Jimmy wouldn't just take that shot and go up with it.
It is weird. It was weird. The whole performance today was weird. He played like scared, and I know that's a crazy thing to say, especially about Jimmy Butler, but that's what I saw. He looked like a guy who was not comfortable out there, and I hope it's the injury and he gets better from that, because it makes no sense otherwise. And Brandon Podziemski, I got to bring up his name real fast, because when he makes his threes, the Warriors. I don't have a stat in front of me. I'm gonna do my research on this for next show. Something tells me when Brandon Podziemski makes a certain number of threes, the Warriors have an insanely high winning percentage. I will look that up. But when he's going 1 for 4 from deep and his 3-point attempts are wide open, he does not, like, I forgot who said it, Damon maybe, he does not have gravity out there. So when he has the ball in the perimeter, he's wide open, and to break those in a game like this, man, that cannot continue to happen. He has a lot of grace, though, man. That's a whole other story, but Pods needs to shoot better.
Yeah, I like him. He just needs to make his shots. He just needs to understand that, you know what? I mean, and Pods, he doesn't make a lot of late clutch shots. He does all these other things, and I like him. I mean, he certainly helps them win, but Minnesota is scouting the Warriors, and they're looking at the statistics, and they're saying no professional player is that wide open unless the opposition wants you to be wide open. So particularly at the start of the game, if he's going to be the guy who's wide open, he has to make his shots, because I agree with you guys. At this stage, if Jimmy Butler is 5 feet within the basket, turn, get your shot blocked, get fouled, don't throw it out. But I like the way that Jimmy plays, because strategically the Warriors are trying to use the shot clock. So he's not looking for the next shot. He's looking for the best shot. But sometimes the next shot is the best shot, and you have to adhere to that. So, I think it's somewhere in the middle. But when I look at the auxiliary players, Moody, nothing. Pods, nothing right now. Those guys got to make shots. The Warriors have no chance.
There's some certain just basketball realities that are baked right into this box score. And now that I'm looking at it, like when you have, nearly double the turnovers than you have made threes,
bad.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble right there. So the Warriors did everything they could to help Minnesota beat them tonight on a night where if they had just pushed back a little, they might have freaking stolen this one too. I mean, when that game got down to 7, you could feel Minnesota getting tight, and what happened?
Yep.
Jemski, couple of turnovers and a few trips down the court, and that's where it went. And, you know, it feels like Brandon Podziemski's basketball IQ allows him to play through bad performances, but then you see the IQ sometimes hard to find. And then you see it being wielded against, well, this is why Kaminga can't play. Well, why can Podziemski play through all these mind farts and Kaminga can't?
That's right, Damon. That's been a massive point of consternation, the double standard and Kerr's subjective decisions in terms of who fits and who doesn't. That's a point of massive complaint.
Now, look, this was a game for Kaminga because it was without structure. It was without the Warriors' normal offense functioning.
Yeah.
Well, I think one other thing that has to be said here is that the Warriors are not getting anything out of the backcourt now. I mean, with Curry out, Peyton didn't do anything. Pods, to me, it's like if you look at if Steph Curry is not going to play, you've got to treat Buddy Hield like he's your star, and you got to set it up for him to free him up for a bunch of easy looks. You got to play to him like he's a star. Agreed. Because he's the one guy. Like if everybody did exactly what they did tonight, but instead of going for 15, Buddy went for 33, the Warriors probably win the game. So they got to get Buddy. Buddy's the one guy that they got to set him up. They're not used to setting him up because they've been setting up Steph, but they should try to set him up a little bit.
Buddy Hield, Larry, should not be playing less than Podziemski. Buddy Hield tonight had 28 minutes, 40 seconds of play. Brandon Podziemski played 33 minutes. Buddy Hield did not have a bad game either, by the way. He shot nearly 50% from 3. He was 4 of 9 for 15 points. I want to bring this point up real fast too, because last game we talked about turnovers, and I don't know if you remember this, but the Warriors, like individual turnovers, and this is another example tonight, 17 individual personal turnovers that are attributed to individual players. Yet team turnover-wise, you add 3 more, and they had 20. And last game, it was a similar situation, and we didn't know what was going on there last game either, right? There was a massive discrepancy between the total turnovers and the individual turnovers. We found out tonight what's going on. Shot clock violations. They had 5 last game. They had 3 tonight. This is the offense just going nowhere, and the team hoisting up desperate, like deep Hail Mary type threes, and Moses Moody hucked at least 2 of those tonight. That's an issue. That's your offense going nowhere, doing nothing, and adjustments need to be made. I'm done. Hey, Dan.
We welcome in Dan Coccimiglio, everybody. If you guys are wondering what just changed, Dan Coccimiglio just entered the room. Danny, how are you?
Good.
You got a quick thought on the Warrior game? They played the T-Wolves tonight. It was game 2.
Oh, was it game 2? Yeah, it looked like they did their usual after they get a 1-0 lead in the series on the road, just fail to show up in the first 5 minutes. I mean, it's just pathetic opening. I mean, the worst imaginable opening you can get, and it pretty much was the difference in the ball game. I mean, it was pretty much a 17-point lead most of the night. They got it to 7. I thought when they got it to 7, the one time Jimmy looked like he was a little in a hurry. You know, he's always under control. He travels, or whatever that they call that, double dribble traveled. And then Minnesota promptly hit a 3, and they never got it closer than that. And they had a chance to get it to 5, maybe 4 with a 3-pointer. Thought that was really a critical moment. You know, turnovers, you think, what's one turnover? Well, you had, how many they end up with, like 17, 18 tonight?
20.
20. Okay. Yeah, the turnovers were bad. But, I think there were some positives, few positives that came out of it.
Can we talk about that third quarter? I feel like we waited way too long to talk about that. And that really was the point of the game that needs to be discussed because it's leading into game 3. the decisions made there, or the lack thereof in terms of the acumen added to them, it can't be repeated. And I wrote this down specifically. The Warriors brought this game to within 7, right? And then, but Minnesota made a couple of buckets after that, and the score was 70-58 before Kerr made a mass substitution. He pulled Kaminga for GP2. He pulled Podziemski for Moody. He pulled Buddy Hield for Trayce Jackson-Davis. And he pulled Draymond Green for a player who I bought his stock and I lost a lot of money, Pat Spencer, who had an awful game tonight. Awful. But that substitution was a bad call, man. Like, I don't know why he did that at that moment. I don't know why he felt the need to pull the trigger when he did. That was a good 5-man unit out there, and that substitution ended the game. Your thoughts?
Well, it goes right to what I applauded him for at the end. I think he's thinking about the end of the game box score and what he wants it to look like in a loss. I don't think he was playing. I'm not saying he wasn't playing to win, but I mean, I think he wanted to make sure that that a lot of those guys didn't pile up big minutes.
Look, I'll tell you, the fact that they got it to 7 actually, I think, did more damage than it helped the Warriors or anyone get a little confidence going. That game should have been white flagged almost coming out of halftime. But, the Warriors, again, they got it to 7. They played well at the start of the third quarter. Minnesota came out a little cold. And that probably wasn't a good thing for the Warriors, because it would have been easier to white flag that game earlier and just say, hey, we'll see you in game 3, everybody. Tonight ain't it.
Yeah, you're down 17 on the road at half without Steph Curry.
I don't know if I agree with that, though. We've watched New York come back from 20-point deficits 2 times.
Twice.
Right,
Yes.
but that's with their stars. That's with every man available.
Not without Brunson.
Yeah.
Right, but you got it to within 7 and had the ball with 6 minutes left in the third quarter. You're in the game. And the Warriors, the one thing they had tonight, although they didn't play well, they had manpower. They were playing 13 guys.
Well, like I said, though, but getting back into the game was more of an illusion than it. Like it wasn't good for them to really get back in the game. The blowout probably would have done them better, just in terms of rest and load management.
Well,
Who
actually,
played more Damon? Like, who do you think played more, and that's going to bite them in game 3? That's not a rhetorical question. I'm being genuine. Like, I'm curious if you think anybody played too much.
Yeah, Draymond, Jimmy, and Buddy Hield, I would have sat them all down and just said, we need you guys ready to go in game 3, because game 2, it ain't happening.
Well, here's the thing that I looked at, though, and I actually liked the way that they were playing. I mean, forget about the outcome for a minute. We've talked the entire season about how Kaminga can't play with player A, B, and C. And I've always said, this is bullshit. I'm watching guys on the court now playing basketball within rhythm in high leverage minutes. And I didn't worry about this game. I was already focused on game 3 at home, a game they got to come out and play great defense, and they got to win that game. So I like the fact, because I saw some subliminal respect that Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and some of the other guys had for Kaminga. And I don't always see that, even though he's a high leverage player. So the idea that they were going to throw this game away, I was like, no, I want to see the game within the game. The game within the game was like Minnesota's like, holy shit, here's the guy that we thought we would be afraid of, but he never plays. Now he's in the scouting report. So Saturday, hopefully he's going to build on the success. But I like the fact that they were playing leverage minutes with all those guys, regardless of the outcome. They were playing good basketball. That's what I was looking for.
Good point.
It would be really, really refreshing if Jonathan Kuminga and Trayce Jackson-Davis played significantly positive roles in lifting the Warriors to the next round without Steph. Because, I mean, those are 2 young, talented players that, people right now, you got to wonder does either guy have a regular role? I mean, and I don't understand the TJD banishment at all, because this guy's such a polished player. He does know how to play off of others really well.
He does.
And as far as Kuminga is concerned, I mean, it's been so obvious for so long. It seems ridiculous to even talk about it. The Warriors were never, whatever way you want to state it, past tense, present tense, they're not winning without Jonathan Kuminga. So this whole we're just going to leave him on the side and this and that. And, okay, you can do that all you want, but you're not winning. Okay, so you won't win without this guy. And if you get him going, you might win. So you know what? I like might win better than won't win. So why don't we get Jonathan Kuminga going? I mean, that would be my goal.
I think he fits when if Steph was healthy, I don't think you see a ton of Kaminga.
No, because we haven't been seeing it. You're right. But let me ask you this, you guys, real fast. Do you think Kerr makes these decisions based off, and I know this is totally subjective and sounds kooky, but I feel like he makes all his decisions based on how the vibe is going, if that makes sense. Meaning, like Trayce Jackson-Davis, he was a part of this rotation. Then he wasn't. Kevon Looney was a part of the rotation. Then he wasn't. Then he was again. Jonathan Kuminga was about to be practically anointed the next leader of this team. He gets injured. Then he's out of the rotation. Now he might be back in. Like Kerr just rolls with the flow. And again, I don't always agree with it. I don't agree with it most of the time, in all honesty, when it comes to the personnel. But that's the thinking, I think, if that makes sense. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I don't know. Your thoughts?
I don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the thinking is. You only have so many young players with skills in their prime. And if you're voluntarily not using them, how's that helping you?
And here's the thing. If the argument is Kaminga ain't perfect, I'll agree. But Guy Santos is a perfect player. Gary Payton II's a perfect player. Dude, Pat Spencer should be cut. All right, just get rid of him. That's not a player, man. I'm sorry. Draymond talked about how tough he is. Okay, great. He sucks. That guy's a G leaguer. That's not. He's going to be taking your NBA roster spot. Well, I don't know what the Warriors just play dick around with some of these guys, and again, Quinton Post is going to be needed at some point to do something. You start him, play him 3 minutes, and did just as much as Julius Randle did to embarrass him tonight. Why?
He's a cone on defense, though.
But again, perfect ain't available. Perfect is not walking in the door.
There's a lot of cones on this team
Go
defensively.
with what you got. You got to go with who you have.
Wasn't you guys surprised, though, that the Warriors didn't come out and play the best defense that they played in the playoff, which is their zone? They didn't play zone.
Until the second quarter. No, Frank, that's a great point, man.
But the first quarter, I'm like, what the hell is this? I mean, they're not making any shots. Minnesota's not the smartest team in the NBA. You're going to give them driving lanes to the basket and wide open shots? Particularly if you're going to have Post out there. They should have came out playing zone and adjusted from there.
That's a great point. And just to add to that, they did implement the zone the start of the second quarter, and it worked. I don't know why they bailed on it. You're absolutely right, man. The Minnesota Timberwolves, first of all, I don't know if you guys agree with me on this or not, but Minnesota is not as good as Houston. This is a very beatable team. Even without Steph, I still think the Warriors are going to figure this out and win the series. But you're right, man. The zone defense flummoxes Minnesota, and I don't understand why they did not implement that more.
Yeah,
Minnesota's way lesser as a defensive team for sure. Houston puts so much more pressure on the Warriors, so much more physical and physically dominant than this Minnesota team. Minnesota doesn't have the same kind of, and they don't play with the same kind of. They just don't seem as nearly as intimidating defensively as the Rockets did. But the thing about this T-Wolves team, though, is they get pretty good offensive players. And you saw tonight. I mean, Julius Randle can have big offensive nights, and he had a big offensive night. He looked really good tonight.
He could also lay eggs, though. That's the beauty of this Minnesota team. Like Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, they're not going to be hitting these threes in Chase Center. They might, but chances are they will not be. The stroke will not look as good, and those shots will not fall as frequently as they did tonight. And Dante DiVincenzo is another one who tonight was hitting a lot of deep bombs that were stinging the Warriors. And this is where I can't remember who said at the beginning, the role players. This is why home court's huge, and the Warriors do have it. All they got to do is protect home court, and they win the series. And the role players for Minnesota are going to struggle in San Francisco. I do believe that.
Dude, I mean, the new Pope went to Villanova. You knew Dante DiVincenzo was going to have a good game tonight.
Dante scares the crap out of you, man. I love that guy when he's on my team. He scares me, man, because Dante is not afraid. That dude is still pissed off. He's not in New York right now.
Hell yeah,
He's mad.
So, yeah. Do you like that commercial that they keep running? The Villanova one?
I love it.
Yeah, it's a good Villanova commercial. Yeah. I do want to say one thing about this thing with Kaminga, because I know there's a lot of talk why doesn't Kaminga play. I think you got a chance to see it. It was 15-5. Minnesota just attempted a shot. Kaminga gets the rebound, but doesn't grab it. And he's just like going like 50%.
Yeah, and DiVincenzo took it right from him. Yeah.
DiVincenzo takes it, throws it to Reed, 3-pointer, 18-5. And I'm thinking to myself, if they were at full strength, Kerr would have just said,
"Oh, immediately." You're absolutely right.
But let's take a young player, give him no minutes, and then have this super short leash because he's not in total rhythm.
Well, Larry,
how do you get in total rhythm when you get no minutes?
But it's not rhythm; it's hustle. When you don't play a lot, you got to give 120%.
Yeah.
You got to show that you're a dog. If you want to earn the coach's, praise, you got to go all out. You might make physical mistakes at times, but you can't make mental mistakes like that. And especially in a playoff game when it showed me he's not ideal, but
it's not ideal. But look at your alternatives. I mean, look at this guy. This is one of the most athletic young players in the entire league. And it's a ridiculous discussion because you're either wrong or you're wrong, because you're either wrong because he's not the right guy and you didn't trade him, or you're wrong because he is the right guy and you're not playing him. But you're wrong either way, because you had plenty of opportunities to move off this player. And Kerr and Dunleavy, are you guys both on the planet Earth? Well, then maybe, do you have a phone? Do they talk to each other ever? At some point, did Steve mention to Mike, hey, Mike, you know what? There's a chance, maybe 10%, maybe 20%, that we're going to get to May, and Jonathan's not going to be what I want. I'm just going to not play him at all. You understand that, right? And then Mike should said, okay, well then I'm going to listen to trades.
Yes.
Because who will you absolutely commit to playing in May? I need to know that in February so I can build this thing. Otherwise, we are spinning our wheels, wasting Steph Curry's Twilight Hall of Fame. On what? So I mean, to me,
I really don't think it went down that way.
I hope there was some communication there.
You're being too.
The way it went down is he got hurt right when he was playing his best of his career. He was scoring 30 points like twice, and Kerr was praising him, saying, "Yeah, I think Jonathan's
he was starting over Draymond, Dan.
Right?
I mean, it was all set up, but look, the first quarter was bad, but he also showed why you got to sometimes let players play.
Yeah,
right?
I think tonight you saw that Jonathan Kuminga is going to get $30+ million in a contract somewhere else. Warriors will sign and trade him, and he's a good player in the right. He can be great in the right system. He doesn't fit what this team is trying to do when you have all the veterans out there.
And maybe that is, Dan, on him, and he is just kind of knuckleheading through practice or not getting in his playbook or watching the film. Although none of that has ever been reported. Like Jonathan Kuminga ain't working hard, has never been attached to him.
I've heard the opposite, David. Like I've heard
the opposite.
Yeah, unfortunate timed injuries have hurt him, but yo-yoing, not just, again, we're watching yo-yoing with Trayce Jackson-Davis, the yo-yoing with Jonathan Kuminga, the yo-yoing with Moses Moody, the yo-yoing kind of with Podziemski. Podziemski's been less yo-yoed, yet has played a you could yo-yo me type of game. But for whatever reason he survives. I think it's just because of their back of they got no guards. There's three no guards. Nobody on this team can freaking dribble. Still, so it's all frustrating now. But in the last 3 seasons, where the Warriors were just going nowhere fast since they beat the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals, they should have used so much more of the regular season as a testing ground for these guys and not given up on them and yo-yoed them so much in and out and just said, they should have just said, hey, you know what? This is our starting lineup for 3 months. Whether it works for us or doesn't, we're fucking sticking with it. And this is what we're doing. We're pot committed to this, and guys are going to find their own level coming off the bench, and everyone's going to get in a rhythm, and then everyone's going to start figuring it out, but they never done that. I mean, this team reshuffles its own deck every single game. Now, sometimes out of necessity, but it seems like they're reshuffling to reshuffle. at times.
Yeah,
and it
doesn't work for developing young players at all. By the way, do you guys want to play Guess the Lines for Game 3? Because courtesy of MyBookie, if you use the promo code MM50, you will get a 50% deposit bonus. If you put $100, for example, they'll add 50. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Guess the lines. Damon, I'll start with you. I'll go around.
Who won last time? I wonder.
Do what? I'm sorry.
I said who won last time. I wonder.
Well, I've never played with you two, so at the same time. So, Larry, you have one.
Okay, I got this last time. Remember, I guessed.
You did, but Damon's new to the post game.
I guess the plus whatever we did on Wednesdays. I got one of these. I'm going to say Warriors -4.5.
Larry.
Warriors -2.5.
Frank.
Warriors -2.
Dan. He's probably looking it up right now. No, he's not. Okay.
Warriors -4.
Do you guys want to take another stab at it? Because all of you were so off. The Warriors are not favored.
Yes.
Does that surprise you guys?
I'll say then Minnesota's favored. And
I made a mistake then because I had I'm new to this. I had Minnesota being the favorite by 2 points.
By 5. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 5-point favorites in the next game, which is what, Saturday? Yeah, at Chase Center. That's crazy.
That's Vegas telling you without Steph Curry, you are.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what that is.
Yeah, I mean that's scary.
It is.
By the way,
166 is the money line.
Well, and you know, here's the thing. Let me ask you. I mean, this is kind of a morbid way to look at this, but you know what? I'm a morbid kind of a guy every now and then. If the Warriors do go down quickly here, is this what will be the narrative of this series? Will people blame
it'll be
playing him
injury? Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of wondering if this is the last shift, and you know, Warriors look good. They won game 1. They had Steph for part of it. They won. They found a way to win the game. Oh, and by the way, they lost Steph, and they didn't win any other games. If it goes that way, what's the narrative? Who gets blamed?
I think it's obviously.
I think Larry Krueger is going to get blamed, and I think Joe Lacob's going to come after you and take your mortgage, and he's going to get the donut guy to come after you, and it's going to be ugly.
I said 38 wins. I said 38 wins. I was right. I was on my way to being right. No, but seriously, what's this? Because do you guys really think the Warriors are coming back in this series and are going to win this series? I mean, you said
yes.
I don't think they're going to come back and win, but I'll also say this: there will be no pound of flesh paid. No one's losing their job. Steve Kerr is not losing his job. No, the transaction of the offseason of Jonathan Kuminga becomes more of a possibility, I guess. But I don't think that there is going to be a massive reckoning with a defeat right here. I don't.
Probably not. You're right. That's a tough one, Larry. I have no clue, man. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know.
I mean, you talk to Warrior fans probably more than anybody. How are they going to react if they go down right here? The way
it hasn't been a talking point at all, man. I mean, my thinking's always like the behind the scenes, like the front office, and I'm as connected as anyone in the media game when it comes to that. But I don't know what the inkling is. You saw Joe Lacob tonight when Kaminga was hot. He had, I think, 10 points at the half, and he led the team in scoring tonight in this loss. Kuminga had 18 points. Side note, the pig in the pickle and decades player of the game, Jonathan Kuminga, tonight in the loss. But, dude, I don't know, man. I mean, because Joe Lacob loves him. Anthony Slater tweeted out that when Kuminga had that hot first half, he was on his feet on a courtside cheering Kuminga on more so than usual. And I don't know, man. This is craziness. That's all I can say.
I think that's the conversation. I think the conversation is we didn't play Kaminga. We didn't develop him this year. We love him. We didn't develop him. And now we are kind of in a less luxurious position to try to get something back for him. I think they probably want a top 5, a top 6 pick and a quality player. But they're not in the best position that they were in And if you had traded him and you got a quality player back, maybe you could sustain a Stephen Curry injury. So I think this yo-yo effect by the coaches with Kaminga is going to be the major talking point if they don't win this series, because it didn't have to go down like that. They could have traded him and had a quality player, or they could have built him up, right, and had him play more consistently, because we never in a million years thought, at least I never thought the Warriors were going to pay this guy. Never. And it was all
every indication is that they're not going to pay him.
No.
They looked at that money that Orlando paid Franz Wagner, and they're like, no way, we're not paying.
Well,
this.
they offered 30. I mean, they did offer 120 million to the kid. I mean, it's not like, the money was there.
Franz Wagner got 228.
227, yeah, 228.
Yeah, he got huge money.
Larry, I saw you tease maybe going to some supers here, which I know means, the end of the show is starting to creep up on us in a full court press. Can I just say one more thing here? Tonight's game was the Steph Curry MVP case. Everything you need to know about who Steph is, how important he is, what he means to this team was found in this game. Without him, the Warriors are just a group of guys playing basketball. With him, there is a potential to shock the world and be a champion. I don't know if anybody creates such a big swinging gate for a team's just chances as this guy does. And he is so special. His absence is impossible to fill. It's more than just a lot of threes. It's more than just volume shooting, accurate shooting. He is the vibe. He is
one of the all-time greats.
Steady presence. Right. He is truly an all-time winning sports entity. And without him, the Warriors look like a YMCA team at times. With him, they look like they might contend for an NBA championship. So his MVP case is easier to see when he's off the floor than sometimes it is when he's on it.
They're going to win game 3, though. I feel very confident the Warriors will come home and win game 3. What do you guys think?
After checking out that spread, I would say I kind of like Minnesota.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble. I mean, you can have an awful lot of hope, but I just don't look at Moody right now or Pajemski right now and get filled with a level of confidence. Here's the thing. And Gary Payton II, I don't even think of you, dude. Why is this guy on the team if he's just going to do something once a month?
I've been saying this all season, Damon. The GP2, look, I see GP2's value mostly as setting Steph up for easy shots with incredible screens, with just clearly there's a synergy there. And I've come to grips with that months ago that, okay, GP2 plays because he does great things and helps Steph out on the court on both sides. But without Steph, you're right. He has virtually no role in this. But did you watch Minnesota play tonight and think to yourself, this team is great? They don't impress me. Do they impress you?
You don't need to be great to beat a Steph Curry-less Warriors team. You don't need greatness for that.
Okay.
Let me say this, though. And even Damon, Sai, you asked for this, and I actually said no. When I look at the Warriors, I look at the Knicks. Now, the Knicks have all of their players, right? But defensively is where I focus all of my coaching prowess on. The Warriors didn't show up defensively.
No.
Tonight. And when I look at Saturday's game, you know what? I want the 5 toughest guys on the court. I don't give a shit about offense. I don't care. Because most of the time, if you hold an NBA team under 100 points, you're probably going to win, or you're going to be in a position to win. And low turnovers. So the idea that the Warriors are going to outscore Minnesota is crazy. It's not going to happen. But if they hold them under 105, I'll even give them 105. I think they got a good chance to win because of the crowd, because of the national spotlight, because of the unforeseen dynamic. When a guy like Buddy Hield scores 30, Jonathan Kuminga scores 22, I think they can win this game. I honestly do. But it starts and it ends with defense. That's where it starts and ends.
They got to get Moses Moody going, though. I mean, if they're going to get this going, Moses Moody can't be a 0. They got to somehow get him back going. I mean, they're just running out of guys who can score.
Well, Larry, if you guys don't mind, I want to do an exercise here real fast because, Frank, I think you're absolutely right. The rotations in Game 3 and the rest of the series have to be narrowed. We can't do a 14-player experiment again. Like, that is not going to work. Kerr was feeling it out. Do you mind if I run through the list of 14 players? And, gentlemen, we can decide who should play and who should not play moving forward, because certain names I think are obvious, and then certain names are wild cards. They're up in the air. And I'll start this off. Jimmy Butler, that's an obvious one. I won't even ask. He has to play. Same with Draymond Green. Damon, I'll start with you. Quinton Post. You've been saying that he should have played more minutes tonight. Played 3 minutes, 18 seconds, 0 points. A Tony Snell night, but again, only 3 minutes. Damon, should he play the rest of the series, or do you kind of
you got to play him. He's your stretch 5. I think he can create a little space if he hits a few shots on the outside. Obviously not a stop the ball defender, but again, you got to have a one big on the floor at some point in time, and it can't just be Draymond pretending.
What about Trayce Jackson-Davis, though? That's not enough? And Glenn Looney?
Well, here's the thing. I think that there is room for him to get into this series now, too. But one of the reasons why you don't see Trayce Jackson-Davis with Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green at the same time, unless they're thrown into a you got no choice situation, is because he's not a shooter, man. He has no shot. He is put back dunks and layups. And again, as we were talking about on Wednesday, Cyrus, the fact that he's forgotten how to hit a layup so often and frequently is just weird, because he used to have such good touch and finesse.
There's a few players who are guilty of that. There's a few players guilty of that.
There's a lot of players who are guilty of that.
Larry, does Quinton Post play moving forward, or do you think he's a victim of numbers?
No, you have to play Quinton Post because you need the points.
You agree with that, Frank and Dan? Quinton Post plays?
I think he always gets a chance. He should get in the game every game. And if he's playing well, he's making shots, and he plays more. But just to say definitively he's not going to get in the game, no, I don't agree with that. Put him on the court.
Dan, you agreed as well?
I'd give him a few minutes, see how he fits in the flow of the game. If he's not – see, the problem is he's really only good for offense and spacing. And if they probably will put Gobert on Green and not – they'll just he's got to be able to hit his shots, because if he's not hitting, he's not effective at all defensively, and he's terrible defensively. He can't jump, and he has no movement.
He's always spoken so kindly of you.
That's so harsh. But Frank, your analysis of Quinton Post, I feel like, is permeated in so many brains. His narrow shoulders, like, I can't get that out of my head now. I can't. Like, every time I see Quinton Post on the court now, I think Frank said he has narrow shoulders, and I can't not see that now. But you're probably right. What about GP2, Damon?
Now, Frank does have broad shoulders, though, right?
Well, look, Gary Payton's going to play because he's one of Steve Kerr's trusted agents for some reason. He will play.
Shit.
And,
what about Larry? What are your thoughts on GP2?
If defense matters, he's going to play too, because he can actually squabble up a little bit defensively.
With Anthony Edwards especially, I think, right? Larry, what are your GP2 thoughts, man? Because he had a bad game tonight, I thought. You're muted. Oh, shit.
What happened to Larry's mic?
Damon, we started playing a little game here when
great. That's the best thing you've said all night, Larry. Unbelievable.
We let them go. Frank, while Larry figures out his mic issues, Frank, what are your thoughts on GP2, man? Because I agree with Damon that this was not his night. And outside of individual matchups with Anthony Edwards, maybe box and one zone defenses where you put GP2 on Anthony Edwards and then let the rest of the defense play in a zone. I don't know what his value is this series. Frank, what are your thoughts on that?
I think he's a spot defender. I mean, when the Warriors have a lead, he's a better defender because he can pressure the defense, particularly Anthony Edwards far from the basket. But if they're down, he's a non-factor. Even with his good defense, he's a non-factor. The Warriors are down.
GP2 plays really well at home, and he gets into it with the crowd. I think he's important player with this team the way it is right now. He's can rebound, he can play defense, he can give you some buckets down low, occasionally hits a three. I think he's a better player at home.
What about Guy Santos is a guy who the box score I don't feel like reflects his contributions. It's his energy, his connectivity. He doesn't put up points consistently, but everything else he does, I personally love him. And I did not think he played enough tonight. 8 minutes, 29 seconds. Again, you should never look at the box score similar to Draymond Green for the most part to understand his contributions. Damon, what are your thoughts on Guy Santos? I haven't heard you mention his name once tonight, probably for good reason, but your thoughts.
I mean, again, another decent sized body has to be on the court against a tall team like Minnesota. So yeah, he has room. I'm like, look at it this way. You can go through every game. I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't want to see fucking Braxton Key, Kevin Knox, or Pat Spencer again.
Yeah. Is that a consensus? That's a consensus, right?
Get your G League out of the postseason.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, so let's finish up with Guy Santos then. Larry, are you back?
I think so. I think I'm back.
Yes, you are. We can hear you. Okay, good. What are your thoughts on Guy Santos?
Well, he's an energy player, but he needs to be spotted very sparingly. I mean, he's an energy player that there's perfect times for him, but I mean, he's not a regular minutes guy for me. No way.
Oh, really? Yeah, I gotta, dude. People in the chat is toxic tonight, man. I love Guy Santos. Pat Spencer, I thought laid in a fat ass egg tonight. I don't think he should play anymore, dude. This was not his scene. But Kevin Knox got a run, dude. 9 minutes and 2 seconds. And I just feel like every time he gets an opportunity, he just does not show up. He does what I feel like the Kaminga haters claim of Jonathan Kuminga, that his haters routinely say he doesn't show up and he's not there. Kind of like what he did in the first quarter. Kevin Knox, I feel like every single time he has an opportunity, just doesn't light it up. And at some point, you just have to kind of, move on. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game. You can't play everybody. Particularly when you are down your best player. So I think most people root for Kevin Knox. I root for him, but like everybody's saying, he doesn't really play well when he gets opportunity.
Same.
Let's hit some supers here. Tommy says Warriors got it to 7 and got to stop. Then Butler travels and the Wolves get it back up 10 with a 3-pointer. That was a major momentum swing for Minnesota. Yeah, there's no question about that.
It ended it. I thought the game was over then. Yeah.
Peter Gregory in the house says Butler lowers. Silly looked like he was point shaving.
Oh, that's a strong accusation, Pete Gregory.
We got this one. Alan Day in the house. He says, I'm anxious like Pookie from New Jack City at the thought of Kerr getting fired this offseason. Curry Flurry.
Kerr's going to survive better than Pookie did.
Curry Flurry. Things went down after JK was benched in the third.
It wasn't just him. It was like a 4-man substitution. It just killed everything. Yeah, it killed everything.
Curry Flurry. They must start JK. Why was JK DNP? No, he played. He could not get 5 minutes. They gave Brandon Podziemski such a long leash, but your third best scorer can't get 5 minutes.
I think that was a few games ago. You might have been thinking of this. You're at the wrong
post game.
Yeah, Jonathan Kaminga. How many minutes did he play tonight? Almost 30
more. Curry Flurry. Jimmy giving Ben Simmons vibes.
No, come on. Now Jimmy Butler had a bad game. Let's not put him and Ben Simmons in
Ben Simmons plays hide and seek.
Yeah, I love how that was a line. You're like, do not cross the Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a line. You do not.
Curry Flurry. Shout out to Big Frank. There you go. We got that. We got Bill M in the house. He says 27 shots, Butler and Healed, not nearly enough, ×2.
Hey, one thing to keep in mind, we're talking about Butler not having a great game. He's probably playing at about 75%. He's not even 100%. He's not near 100%. So you got Steph out and Butler playing at about 75%, and they're tied 1-1. So we'll see where this thing goes. But
Michael says start Healed, Kuminga, Jimmy, Draymond, TJD next game. Attack the rim. Stop settling for threes. Draymond is 1 for 6 on threes tonight. What do you think of that starting lineup? Healed, Kuminga, Jimmy, Draymond, and TJD. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Chef kiss for that, dude. Sign me up. Yes. Gimme.
Coast to coast. Kerr is the only coach in the NBA to not play man-to-man when Ant is limping on one leg. yet no adjustments and leaving people wide open as always.
Yeah, that was bad. You got to do a box and one, man. I feel like that's the defense to play because you have GP2, you have Kaminga, you have a few assets that you can literally just plant on Edwards to make life difficult for him. It's the same defense Houston did on Steph.
I was about to say, who threw the box and one on Steph a couple of years ago?
Toronto.
Toronto.
And then Houston, and then in the finals. And then Houston did it again just this last series. It works. Do it to Edwards.
It works because guys see it so infrequently. Red Jet Shell says 2 snaps all around. I'll be at the game Saturday night. Always Warriors, baby, and all kinds of.
You did that beautifully, Damon.
That's what I do. Red Jet gets all the snaps she needs. She needs 2. She needs 3. She gets what she needs.
That's right.
There you go. Curry Flurry says, agree with Krueger. They could have traded JK, but they didn't. He needs to start, but instead he gets DNP'd. Meanwhile, Brandon Pajemski can make mistakes and still play. Sasha
Kaminga
Jones,
was the backup point guard. He'd be playing too.
Yeah, I mean they're the
only guy that can handle the ball.
Sasha Jones says Jimmy gets blame if the Warriors lose without Steph.
When he plays like this, yeah. When he is just.
I mean, no one's going to come down hard on him because he literally did more to breathe life into this season than anybody who was on the team before he got here. So,
they would trade Jimmy. They would trade Jimmy down the river in a moment if they could upgrade to like a Giannis or something. If they could find a way to upgrade to a better superstar, they would. It'd be by
He needs
Jimmy.
to be more aggressive, though. Sure. He has to be more aggressive, and I think he will be in Game 3.
Hey, Draymond's in trouble if Giannis is on the table. Let's be honest.
Yeah. HR says JK and TJD's contribution in this game is proof Kerr bungled their use this year. It's on Kerr to integrate these players he failed.
There's a part of that I think that's accurate. There's another part that says that the team that you watch tonight is not the Golden State Warriors, unless Steph Curry is out. How do you play when Curry's on the court? If the answer is not well, then that's who you are. And that's the thing. This is about how you play when Steph Curry's out there. Now, there's also plenty of minutes when Steph Curry isn't out there where these guys should be getting minutes, not DNPs. But if you don't blend in well with Curry and Draymond, there's going to be very little room for you at the end on this team. That's just the way it is.
Alex Fairbanks jumps in with this one for Frank. He says, Frank is on fire tonight. Let's give him some subs. Actually, this would be a perfect time for everybody. We all appreciate you guys being here. And, of course, hit like and subscribe on everybody's channel. I'm, of course, at the Krug Show. Golden Days is Size channel. Damon's got the Plus. And Frank's got the Dungeon. Danny's got the NorCal Sports Network.
Live from Arizona.
And that's right. Live from behind this
it.
HOA's walls in a 55 and over community that occasionally will look the other way if there's some younger people.
No longer in the 55 community.
Oh, really? Look at that.
Really?
Yeah,
sold that one.
Decided he needed to party a little bit too much for the 55 community. Had to get out of there. Too confining. There you go.
Just sold it a couple days ago. Yeah.
Look at that. Danny's on the prowl now. He's free. HOA laws. You have pocket full of money. Oh, my goodness. In Arizona?
I will say this. I absolutely, Dan, appreciate the properly arranged by the standings hats behind you. I did that when I was a kid. I had all the little hats that you used to get Sundays in, and I had every single one of them, and I used to arrange them every day according to the standings.
Yeah,
so.
I haven't updated a few of them, but
Danny hasn't decided what he's going to do when he grows up. Right?
That's why they threw him out of the 55 and under community.
There we go.
Is that to the minute, by the way?
The hats? No, yeah. I haven't updated. The West is National League West, and
I thought the Giants were over the Padres right now. They're underneath the Padres.
They were tied technically.
Well,
Padres
I would like if you could move the hat up. Then I mean,
Padres had a higher percentage technically. If you want to go by that.
but yeah, give everybody some subs. Hit like and subscribe on everybody's channel, and we're really happy to see all these guys thriving. Every one of these guys is thriving.
And Larry, you as well, brother. What you've accomplished is nothing short of exemplary and impressive. And bravo, dude. I mean, like, you've built like your platform from nothing. And I don't know if the rest of the gentlemen on this panel agree, but I call you the king of Bay Area sports media. I feel like you've taken, I don't know I hope you take this as the compliment it's intended to be, that you've kind of supplanted Bradich as the guy that the rest of the universe rotates around. So, the solar system. So bravo. I just want to give you some flowers.
Everybody's got their favorites, and for everybody watching, I guarantee you there's 3,000 people watching this. There's people that love me, hate me, love Dan, hate Dan, love Frank, hate Frank, love Cy, hate Cy. Lots of people really hate Cy. I can tell. I can just tell by the number of people in here. There's a lot of people that really hate Cy. Love Damon, hate Damon.
Best.
I mean, there's a lot. Damon's got some haters too. So, as Robert Saleh once quoted a rapper at a press conference. If you don't got no haters, you ain't popping.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So there you go. But give everybody a like and subscribe.
Speaking of haters, Larry, did you guys talk about the Draymond Green tea tonight?
No, not really. I mean, maybe briefly.
I did.
I didn't know he drank tea.
At some point, you got to be aware that they're watching closely, and whether you do it intentionally or not, your hand somehow, either your foot finds somebody's nuts or your hand finds somebody's head every time. And it's getting ridiculous. He goes up, and I get that, but as he follows through, his hand moves over to this and smacks, I think, was it McDaniel that was guarding him at the time? I don't know who it was, but right in the head.
He flails like a cat gets thrown in a pool. And he just loses control of all of his faculties. And I mean, it's who he is. I mean, there's no changing at this point. This is who Draymond is.
He's got 5 teeth now. He's 2 away from being suspended. Could you imagine if he gets suspended in one of these games for this?
He pushes things to the edge. But, I think we all know enough about basketball to know, and I think Steve does as well. I've talked to Steve about this. There's Draymond, at times loses control, but he's also just such a basketball genius that he's both. I mean, he walks to that line for a reason, but then occasionally he'll cross it for no reason. So it's I'll say this. It's a pleasure to have him on your team.
Oh,
I would not want to go against him. But I think he's one of the greatest competitors of his era.
He's the ultimate foxhole guy. As long as there's a war going on, you want him in your foxhole.
Yes.
He might get you both killed, but you'll go down with a fight. It won't be because you got, you didn't see it coming. He's one of the more unique players in the history of all Bay Area sports. He's been a good guy. He's been a bad guy. He's hung banners. He's given a banner away. He's one of the most interesting dudes ever. The reason why Barry Bonds was so interesting is because he wasn't just a, freaking Luke Skywalker. He had some dark side in him, man. And Draymond's got that dark side in him. And all of our favorite Star Wars characters, he got a little dark side in him. So
my favorite Barry Bonds story ever, my ex-girlfriend from Half Moon Bay once saw him at a restaurant, approached him when she was like 11 years old. Hey, Barry, can I have your autograph? Barry Bonds' reply, fuck you.
Wow.
An 11-year story. True story.
Who hasn't done that? Sean Fredrickson said, "Here's $2 for Cyrus to pay his alimony." Oh,
I've never been married, so I don't know where that's coming from. But thank you for the.
Well, if you want to, maybe you want to donate that $2. Then
never been legally married. I should say that, but no.
You know of. All right. Curry Flurry. I met previous games with the DNP. Jonathan Kuminga needed more minutes during the Rocket series, but instead he got DNP'd. Shout out to Golden Days. There you go. All right. So Lots of supers tonight. 17 supers out of the chute. So appreciate every single one of you guys. What are we going to see in game 3? What are we going to see in game 3?
Hopefully role players step up. And if that happens, and if Buddy Hield does a serious Steph, impression, they could win it. But I don't think they are. I think they're in trouble. I mean, I think they are in trouble.
I don't blame you for thinking that. I don't blame anyone for thinking that. I like this team. They were 7-5 this year without Stephen Curry for good reason. They have a lot of depth. Steve Kerr played 14 guys today, and I don't think it was entirely crazy that he did that. I think Frank was right in that this was an experimentation for Kerr to figure out who the hell he can play the rest of this series. There is a lot of talent still on this Golden State team. I think if they focus and simplify things and make this a defensive battle, which they did not do tonight, but if they make this a defensive slog fest, kind of like what Houston did to them, they're going to be okay. I really do believe that, and I think they're going to win game 3.
That's my take, Si. I think they need to go out on the court and metaphorically and physically be prepared to fight. And that has to be your mentality. If you want to win this game, you got to be prepared to leave everything on the court. That means no mental and physical mistakes. I want to see Pods get into it. I honestly do. I want to see Pods get into it, because these guys are like, yo, man, this dude is not on my level. I'm going to go out and abuse this guy. And he needs to have some Dante DiVincenzo. Dante is one of those dudes. Dante, you saw what Dante did the last game when he got into Jimmy Butler. He ain't afraid of Jimmy Butler. I want to see that from Pods as opposed to this. Stop and complain to the referees. Go out there and inflict your physical will on those Minnesota guys. Beat Anthony Edwards. I don't care who it is. That's how you can win this game. That's how you can do it.
Here's the question I have. Do you go for offense or do you go for defense? And we were going through that list, and it's like, I'm like, Quinton Post, yeah, play him. This guy, play him. But I think you got to kind of think about what you want to choose, offense or defense.
I think at home you play some offense. I do. I think you need shots to fall at home, man, because the shots ain't going to fall on the road. You better pack your defense to go on the road. At home, I think you get a little bit more grace and you get a little bit more offensive just confidence. Dude, here's the thing. Moses Moody gets 3 threes. If he's 0 for 3, get him off the court. I mean, there's got to be some consequences to not showing up early in this game.
Yeah.
Since it's on my side, I can share the screen, and I want to share the screen on this. This is from Slater. This is Draymond in the locker room after the game.
Ooh.
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
Is that AI?
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick
Larry,
of it.
is this real or is this a joke?
Looks
what do you mean?
Locker room.
Well, you see all those AI clips. Like, people publish those all the time now. I just want to make
it's Slater.
That can't. Wow.
It's Anthony Slater. Put that out.
Why did
Draymond just wanted to give one quick post-game statement, and that was it. And who's that directed towards? The officials?
I don't know. That is a crazy clip, man. Why did he feel the need to even like defend himself like that? Like, are people calling him that? That's crazy.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I would just say, I don't think this has anything to do with race. This has to do with reputation. And Draymond's reputation with officials is awful. And it's not because they're misinterpreting things. They give him more grace than most dudes who would ever get. The officials do more to keep Draymond in games than they do to throw him out on certain nights. They really do. So, Look, I'm never going to deny a man feeling the way he feels, but in this case, I would just say, shut the fuck up and don't get 2 more texts.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a crazy clip.
One more clip here.
Okay.
Hold on a second. This is on a different note, but I think it's pretty good. Here is maybe the story of the weekend. Knicks fans.
Oh boy. Bing bong. Bing bong.
Joel Embiid comes in his hands, bitch. Fuck that Philly.
Yo, Philly, you can feel these nuts. When niggas catch you in Philly, we gon' fuck you up. I'll wipe right fucking ass with that. Fucking beat. Smoke some weed. Let's go. Joel Embiid was sending your ass to China, so get ready to pack this up. Yo, let's go talk to the Italian fucking Italian. We are the New York Knicks. Suck on the New York Knicks. Go New York, go New York, go. If I had a sister, I'd let Jalen Brunson and the entire New York Knicks.
Oh my God.
Is that
I love it.
That was
the Celtics are about to rip off 4 in a row. That's it. That's the kiss of death. You haven't won anything in forever.
I think that was old.
And you're
because they mentioned DiVincenzo as a Knick.
Yeah, I think that was old too. That was fantastic. I love the energy of East Coast individuals. Like East Coast sports to me, like my performances like make people shocked here in our soft part of the country, the San Francisco Bay Area. If I was in New York, man, my rants would be just another Tuesday. I love it.
Ryan 23000 says, "Does it make other people mad when Spencer plays?"
Now it will. Never did until now. Now I'm going to be upset if he plays.
He's a human victory cigar. He should be used at the end of big wins, and everyone goes, "Oh, isn't that great?"
Hey, I wanted to share something real quick about the game plan tonight, because you guys said that maybe you played all those guys to see who could play. I really think the game plan was to play all these guys because of the way they're just wiped out, and see if you could out hustle Minnesota and steal game 2. And it didn't work too well when it got to be 13-0. I think that kind of threw everything off. Minnesota comes out and just blitzed them. And I really think the Warriors were going to play all these guys. They were prepared to hit them with rotations and try to out hustle Minnesota. And, I really think that's what the plan was. And because you saw, I don't know if you guys saw the interview with Pat Spencer before the game. I don't know if it was done yesterday or sometime today at a shoot around, but he says, I don't want to give away too much of the game plan. They were asking him questions and all that. I think that rotation was set up. They were going to I think that's how they thought they could beat Minnesota, being as tired as they are.
Yeah.
But it actually comes down to just making shots. That's all it is. I mean, Minnesota's scouting the Warriors too. I mean, I will go back to that first point that I made. Pods wide open from 3. You could literally build a football field in front of him, and he clanks it off the back on twice, and they go down and make shots. I mean, Jaden McDaniel makes a 3-point shot. They go down and they miss. You gotta make open shots and play hellified defense. The Warriors are capable of doing that, but they got to get guys to act like pros and make shots. You shouldn't miss those shots if you're pro. You shouldn't miss those.
Warriors were 9 of 32 from deep tonight, which translates to 28.1%. Unacceptable.
You can't win.
I'm sorry, but I'm a little distracted. I'm watching some of these Knick fans just lose their mind.
I love it.
Knick fans.
Here's the comment of the night. Here's the comment of the night from I am become death destroyer. Draymond shows more patterns than Joanne's fabrics. He does. I mean, he does. He's got problems all the time. Draymond in a pressure cook. By the way, how often do you see Draymond nearly get ejected in any game Steph isn't playing? Like that happens
regularly
all the time.
Yes. Did you see Steph calming him down tonight?
Yes.
He was out there.
Yes.
Yeah. Larry, if you don't mind, do you mind sharing the screen?
Here's the thing. Draymond, get as angry as you want. Get as angry as you want. Because the only way this happens is with War Daddy Draymond whooping ass over the next 3 games. So get angry, Draymond. Do it. If you got to pretend you're the victim here, whatever it takes, buddy. Just go out, hit some threes when they're open, take advantage of guys sleeping on you, and that's it. That's it. I mean, the Warriors, we were talking about this. The Warriors have 4 avenues of offense. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler fourth quarter free throws, Buddy Hield is feeling it, and Draymond catching dudes sleeping. Those are 4 avenues of offense. So they're going to need those to show up. Again, if Jonathan Kuminga is part of the equation again, we'll put him back in the equation. I don't know if he can play tomorrow night. I don't. He should.
He better. I mean, they need him. They badly need him. NBA Elias says Kerr needs to follow Nick's game plan. Cy, what do you want?
If you look down below, if you don't mind sharing that screen, we have a Jimmy Butler soundbite. I'd like to play for the audience just because Jimmy was asked about the burden of producing offense, and he gave an answer to that. So if you don't mind just hitting the share button.
There it is. Oh, I got it.
Yeah. There we go. Here is Jimmy Butler talking about not being playoff Jimmy tonight.
Jimmy, I know you don't pay much attention to what's out there, but just so you can know, everybody's expecting this massive thing, this reputation of playoff Jimmy. What is that like living under that burden or expectation?
I don't have a burden or expectation. I don't. I play basketball the right way. I will continue to play basketball the right way. If that time comes where, you're people that are saying whatever, supposed to score 40 or 43, whatever the case may be, I'm capable of it. I can do it. But I love making sure that my guys are comfortable, passing the ball to them, taking the right shots at the right time. But we'll talk about it. If that may be needed, who knows?
Yeah, that's needed. That's needed. There's no question about who needs it. It was needed tonight. If you say you got 40 in your pocket and can pull it out whenever you need it, then we'll see you for 40 in game 3, Jimmy. That's it. I mean, there you go. If he's got 40 in his pocket, pull it out.
They win.
They need it.
Sure.
They need it.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
I'm sure a guy like him coming to a veteran team was really cognizant of getting his in the flow as opposed to, just trying to dictate. And I think he is such a savant player that he can play. That's what makes him, that is his genius, is that he can play a lot of different ways and still contribute. So, but yeah, I think what we're saying here is accurate. I think it's in there and he can take over, and I think they need him to. And the question was tonight was, were the Warriors going to keep Minnesota in a funk? And then the question now going into game 3 is, how do the Golden State Warriors best go forward? And I think it might be with just the 5 biggest defensive dogs you got and just try to muck it up. Just muck it up with all the best physical defenders you possibly can. And because you're not going to, you're going to outscore a team. I mean, you're going to have to somehow, Buddy Hield's going to have to hit a bunch of threes in the midst of this anyway, no matter what style you play. But I think I would go for let's try to get up an Anthony Edwards grill and D him up and see if we can make this a defensive slugfest.
I like it.
I think that's the best way to win.
The Warriors, with their lack of backup guards, it's probably too late at this point. But is there somebody that could fill an NBA vet? Was Pat Beverly available to sign as a free agent or somebody like that in place of a Spencer or something? Is he available?
No, there's like a March 15th deadline. I don't know.
No, you can sign anybody for the playoffs if they were a free agent prior to March 1st. But I just didn't know who was.
Let me say this. And I know Pat Spencer's problem is Kerr plays him too long. I mean, nobody that tough. I think he is tough. He needs to be a better defensive player. When he's out playing with his friends and doing these trick shots and look like an All-American, that's fine. But if you want to set foot on an NBA court, you got to defend your position. I like Pat Spencer. I do. But I don't like him getting blowed by and not holding his position. That's terrible. So he has to decide what he wants to do because he's a good enough athlete to have a career in this league.
Isn't he playing
what
overseas?
I saw tonight, Frank, I don't know if you agree with this or not with Pat Spencer. He did not play like a point guard, and that's his position. Like, I didn't see him facilitating. I didn't see him looking for the open man. He was just like barreling his head down and going in, and that was not working tonight. It was not effective.
He shouldn't be playing. He's a 12th man.
Yeah, realistically, you're right. Can we play one more soundbite, Larry? I have it queued up down below if you don't mind. This is
I only let one soundbite per show.
Here's Jonathan Kuminga talking about confidence. I'm curious to hear what he has to say.
Obviously, you get minutes. You go 8 for 8 to start. Did you feel like you were back into some sort of rhythm? Did you feel like you were really into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think once I came out for the first couple of minutes and I went back in, I feel like, the confidence just came back, especially knowing as the way we started wasn't that great, pretty much everybody else had to step up and just went out there and just try to compete. And I think everything just fell in line.
Can you describe that baseline drive dunk over Gobert? Obviously, you
it cuts off there, but that baseline dunk on Gobert was awesome.
Maybe next year in the salary cap, add a little maybe audio engineer to the list of people you want to have. What the heck was going on there?
Feedback in Woodstock.
Yeah, whistling and all kinds of stuff. No, I'm just,
No, well deserved. That was 95-7 the game. Take your shots. I love
there
it.
You go. Come on, game. Come on, Goo. Come on, step up your game, Guru. No, Guru's my guy. In fact, I was listening to them today. In fact, one of the things that they were talking about, Steiny and Goo, was, they're kind of not that optimistic, it didn't sound like, about the Warriors' chances without Steph Curry. And I think that, it's like we can be optimistic, but, if Minnesota plays to the level that they can, and did tonight, I mean, this they may make short work of the Warriors here. Warriors better have tonight better be the last game that Golden State kind of gives away like that, because if they don't, if they don't go toe to toe and battle and fight this team every step of the way, the rest of the series, they won't win it.
This is also going to be Minnesota's night, right? I mean, it's just
totally.
They had to. They could not look at a game without Steph Curry and go 2-0. They could not do that. And so, I thought that, they went ahead and lit a fire under Ant. Ant didn't even really respond with a great game, but he was better in this game, more aggressive in this game, and they hit threes, and the Warriors couldn't score. So this was going to be Minnesota's night. Game 3, Chase Center. See if you can't get it right. If you do, then all of a sudden you got a little bit more house money on your side. And then game 4 is, you'd love to grab that too. But if you don't, it ain't the end of you. It's pretty obvious, right? They've dropped the next 2 at Chase Center. Good night, Irene.
Oh, yeah. It's over if they lose.
So, Steph's not going to be able to come back and step back into this series and rip it all off. And just, we're still in this. So
I don't think Steph's coming back until game 6 at the earliest, personally.
Yeah, that's what
and he might not even. He might.
Yeah, he may not even.
He might not even come back.
If the Warriors focused on defense tonight, I can't count how many of those 3-point attempts by the Timberwolves were wide open. Like, that's one thing that I don't think we're going to see.
Hey, it was the same thing in game 1. It was the same thing. Dude, the Warriors let all sorts of wide open threes fly over their heads, and luckily, they miss them sometimes. That's the thing. Like the Warriors' perimeter defense has a whole bunch of hope they don't hit that baked into it.
Hey guys, who wins the other 3 series?
Ooh, let's get into it. I love it. Did you guys see the Paul Pierce walk of shame today, by the way? I love that. I mean, Paul Pierce basically comes out and says, I lost money on that too, by the way. I thought the Celtics were going to destroy the Knicks, and for the second straight game, they blow a 20-point lead. Paul Pierce does a 20-mile walk to work today because he said if the Celtics lose game 2, I will walk in a row barefoot. I don't think he did it barefoot. I think this one part he backtracked on a little bit. But did you guys see that? I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Is there video of it?
He was doing like a live Instagram story while he was doing it. So like he'd run into fans along the way. It was classic, man. I thought it was good content.
Here, I'll show you the path, the Paul Pierce path. This is what he walked today. There it is.
Yeah, there we go.
He really took a 15-mile walk.
It was like closer to 20. It was a really long, or I mean, AA in the chat saying 15. I thought it was closer to
8
20,
hours. 8 hours and 2 minutes.
Incredible.
Wow. He really walked it. He didn't hop in an Uber. Didn't skip on a bus. He really walked it. Good for him.
Because if you watch the clip, like he's on this panel on FS1, like Rick Bucher's there. I don't know how Joy Taylor's still employed, but more power to that organization, I guess. But and so Paul Pierce is like passionate, guaranteeing the Celtics are going to win, and obviously he has connections to that organization, and so he's like it's a very emphatic like guarantee. He was very passionate, saying the Celtics are going to win. If they don't win, I'm going to walk to work, and they lost. And I'm glad he did. I'm glad he held up his side of the bargain.
Do we have one more here? Let's see. We have one more super summer out. JK Pods Moody in Wiggins Vucevic.
Okay.
Reacquire Wiggins?
No. No, that's not happening.
By the way, since the question was what do you think is going to happen in the rest, I think the Thunder are in trouble against the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are going to win that series. I think the Timberwolves are going to beat the Warriors. I'm going to say the Pacers are going to beat the Cavs.
Wait, who do you have? OKC, Denver,
Nuggets.
Okay.
Nuggets.
Even after game 2, I love this. Let's get into this. I love it. Yeah, Dan, who do you think? Or sorry, Damon.
Yeah, do you want to cut me off anymore?
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Nuggets because I'm gonna bet on the best player on the planet at all times, and that right now is Jokic. Timberwolves, I think, beat the Warriors. Pacers sitting pretty over the Cavs. Why not? Watch the Celtics come back. Watch New York get all tight at Madison Square Garden. Give back 1, maybe 2. Doubt creeps in. I'll say Boston still wins that series.
Ooh.
I'll go Pacers, Knicks, Thunder, T-Wolves.
Yeah, I'm going to say Pacers. Knicks only because they're up 2-0. I think if it was 1-1, I'd pick Boston. I think this might be the Knicks' year to advance. Denver disappointed me in game 2. Even if they lost, I wanted to see them go and challenge OKC. OKC just slapped them around. So that bothers me. I know Denver's going to win some games at home, but they're going to lose the home court advantage. So I think the Thunder are going to win that.
Cy, who do you got?
Well, I'm going to go. First of all, that Nuggets Thunder series is a classic case study in terms of just two completely different styles of basketball from two powerhouse organizations, right? You have the Nuggets, they're big. Jokic is the name of the game. OKC, team brand ball. They emulate the Warriors. They're smaller, but they're athletic. They're defensive oriented. I'm not going to have a good prediction on that series until I see how OKC handles Denver and the altitude, right? I like if they can go into Denver with that same energy and tenacity and play the same brand, OKC's winning that series. But if home court advantage is real and that altitude causes problems, and if Nikola Jokic continues this level of greatness, where he's not only an MVP candidate, but he's also a head coach, he's literally coaching the team. That's insane, impressive. But I need to see game 3 before I figure that one out. I think the Celtics will come back. I could also be wrong on that one, like I was wrong in game 2. I don't. What's going on with the Celtics? Can we talk about that? Like their head coach thinks they could just be 3-point chuckers no matter what. I don't remember having this level of emphasis on 3-point shooting a year ago when they won the title. I thought they were more balanced. This season, they're just all about threes. They live and die by them, literally, and they're dying 2 games in a row now. That's crazy to me. Do you guys agree with that strategy? Are you perplexed at seeing a team just be stubbornly focused on just one approach. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Derek White was 3 for 11 on threes. Yeah, I mean, Horford took 5, missed 5. I mean, Tatum took 5, missed 4 out of 5. To me, the guy that's just AWOL in that series is Porzingis. I mean, where's the zinger? I thought this guy was a big talent.
Well, he's got this illness, this mystery illness that he's been and we don't know what the illness is. Supposedly it's viral. It makes me think of mononucleosis, right? Because in college, I feel like every one of us had friends who had mono, right? Where you're laid up for like 2 months. I don't know what's going on with him. He's got some sort of illness that they won't disclose what it is, and it's affecting his energy. It's affecting his performance. You're right. Porzingis has been, I think, the biggest letdown for the Celtics.
Not the same guy. And the Knicks are just tough. I mean, Bridges, Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, Brunson, Hart. I think Hart's probably the most underrated player in the whole league.
Well, and look at the defensive plays that Mikal Bridges has made in the last 2 games too. He's been fantastic.
You get some tough guys on that team.
And then the other series, who else? What's the other one in the East? It's
Pacers.
Pacers are up 2-0.
Dude, I've been saying this all season. First of all, I love how many people were like, Seaside told you Ty Jerome. No, I told you Ty Jerome. He cannot, dude, he's a turnstile defensively. He's overrated offensively. And when Darius Garland went down, then they actually needed him to step up in the postseason. He did not. Cleveland, again, and Donovan Mitchell is not that guy. I said this from the get-go. You cannot rely on him as your number one guy to go to the championship. And they're exposed. And I think I agree. Indiana can win. Indiana can win the whole thing. Do not be surprised.
Donovan Mitchell was raw in the last game, by the way. I mean, I will not be ripping Donovan Mitchell. And I don't think anybody else should either. Did you see him in that game?
Yeah, but they still lost. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, come on, bro. I mean, come on, man. This guy's ripping it back. I mean, this guy's awesome right now. Donovan Mitchell is absolutely showing that he's one of the great stars in the league, I think.
True, but
he's
never
ripping
past
it.
this.
No, I know.
Gone past the conference semis. Ever. I mean, remember all those Utah teams that everyone thought, oh, him and Rudy Gobert, they're going to make some noise. No, you're not. Sit the F down. You're not doing anything.
Don't they got some injuries going too right now? I mean,
yes.
Didn't I see was it Mobley and Civies in game 1?
Darius Garland, that sprained toe of his is a problem.
Yeah, Hunter's out too.
Mobley isn't playing.
Hunter's out too.
In game 2. Yeah, in game 2 they lost both those guys.
Mobley's great. He might be their best freaking talent.
He stole the Defensive Player of the Year award from Draymond this year. Just my opinion, but I believe that strongly.
Is Garland coming back for game 3?
But people were telling me Ty Jerome's amazing. I know. What do you need Darius Garland for if Ty Jerome is on your team?
What's amazing is the game's at Indiana and Cleveland's favored.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Cleveland's desperate. Cleveland's down 0-2.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
What's also amazing is the amount of talent that the Sacramento Kings say goodbye to all the time. Guy goes to a new place, everything gets better. I mean,
Halliburton.
You got rid of Halliburton because you're going to keep De'Aaron Fox only to get rid of De'Aaron Fox. What are you doing?
Vivek, bro. Vivek.
Yeah. Well, I'll take let me flip a coin here and see who I'm going to take each series. Now, I'm going to take I'm going to go Boston. It's going to come back and win it in game 7.
I think so too.
And I think that Cavs series goes probably 6, but maybe Indiana gets it in 6. I'll take the Thunder. I think the Thunder win it in 7. And I think the T-Wolves. Geez, if it goes 7, I think the Warriors could win this series because Steve Kerr's 3-0 in game 7s on the road. So, and if it goes 7, so I don't know, man. I'm so torn on this series because something tells me that this is the Warriors' best chance in for Steph to win another championship.
How sweet would it be if you want to just? To me, great sports. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but to me, it's about memorability, right? How memorable is it? That is, to me, the barometer for great sporting events. How amazing would it be if we got Steph Curry in the Garden, Madison Square Garden, with all those idiot Knick fans? Sorry, Frank. Screaming and yelling. You might Curry in that moment, in that environment. Draymond Green against the Knicks in the final.
I think the league would love that. The league.
Oh yeah.
You might have an NBA
epic.
Finals ratings record. You might have an NBA Finals ratings record. New York Knicks just being in the NBA Finals would be a freaking monster. Plus the Warriors and Steph Curry. Yeah, I mean, come on.
It would be absolutely crazy. 7-game knockdown, drag out.
Sign me up.
That would be an amazing series.
That I root for that for Cy, for his channel. I root for that for me as a sports fan. I mean, how amazing would that be? Steph would have to recover. It's not like it's 1,000,000 to 1 or anything. It's like it could happen.
Yeah,
it could happen.
Well, look at it this way: the Knicks are doing a lot more to live up to their end of the bargain than the Warriors. So,
well, I mean, do you give the Knicks a shot against the Cavs Pacers winner? I do.
Again, I think they're going to come back and beat them. But yeah, sure. Whatever the most dramatic thing is humanly possible, serve it up to me. Look at it this way: it's wide open. There isn't a single team in this that can't win it all, with the exception of the Warriors without Steph Curry. The Warriors without Steph Curry are not winning anything. With Steph Curry, they're in this conversation.
Agreed. And that's why I've been so passionate about the Warriors and them not blowing it this season. Because if you don't capitalize this year, something tells me next season the path will not be like this, where anyone can win it. So many players being injured, so many team constructions set up favorable for the Warriors. There is no Nuggets in 2023 that's like an impossible task to overcome. The Warriors can do it. And you're right, Damon, that Stephen Curry has to come back for that to happen. But I think they can beat Minnesota, man. Despite tonight's result, I feel really good about the Warriors. And the fact that they're underdogs at home, bust out your pocketbooks, friends, and win some money.
And for those of you who were not at rookie minicamp, probably the most significant moment of rookie minicamp right here.
Why?
Alfred Collins will be wearing number 99, folks. There you go. Alfred Collins.
Isn't that wasn't that
wearing number 99?
Who was what's the guy's name? I'm forgetting his name. The number 1
Kinlaw?
pick for Kinlaw. Isn't that Kinlaw's number?
That was Kinlaw's number, but he of course wasn't on the team last year.
Right, but
I
I always feel funny when you give a guy that really wasn't that successful, it gets the guy's number. It's kind of like
when you say 90, but when you say 99, I think of Alden Smith first.
Oh yeah,
Smith. Totally. I mean, here's the other question though.
That was my number at Fordham.
99.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean,
way to give CJ West my number. CJ West is going to be wearing 50.
Is he going to wear? He's going to wear 50.
Yeah.
Wow. He's a nose guard. I mean, he's a defensive tackle playing.
He wore the number 8
50.
in college.
Didn't Mark Gastineau wear number 99 too?
Yeah, he did.
Gastineau was 99.
Okay.
And Alden Smith in the chat. That's a good one. I think he had number 99 too.
Who was it that we were just talking about today about somebody said they wanted to wear the number, and who was it? There was
they told Abdul Carter you ain't wearing.
Abdul,
Abdul
Carter.
Lawrence Taylor. He wanted 56.
Abdul Carter wanted to wear Lawrence Taylor's number. It's
And
like,
did you hear
bro,
Did you hear what
if,
happened?
no.
When they said no, he then asked for number 11. That's Phil Simms' number.
Right.
Yeah. And I heard Phil Simms and Chris Simms gave the thumbs up, but that Mama Simms and the sisters were like, no, screw that.
Dude, asking for a guy's retired number who's like literally maybe the single greatest defensive presence in the history of the league. Like,
it's a terrible precedent. Terrible. Because what if you gave him LT's number and Abdul Carter stunk up the joint? What if he just was a bomb?
I think the only time you can really give take a number out of retirement is if the team makes a trade for a player who then comes into an organization that's a real big deal. And then you can be like, well, you kind of got thrown in here, and to make you feel great, we're going to do this for you because you are an already multiple-time All-Star Pro Bowler or something like that. So you have the credentials to fill this in the meantime. But then we're going to instantly retire it again.
Chardal in the house. He says, "Hi, gentlemen. How are you guys doing? Can I come on?" Well, we're doing really well. So that should answer both of those questions. We're doing really, really well.
How's it going, Chardal?
The rest of it, just gonna, figure it out.
Chardal, we'll get you on Golden Days one of these nights when we don't have a panel. I'll give Chardal my promise of that.
Chardal, we're gonna get you on the Krug show one of these days. MF says Larry and Gary Radnich should go do patio pre-games for the Giants if they go to the playoffs. Wow. If the Giants go to the playoffs, now we're really drinking.
Would Gary come out of retirement for that? Because I know you have his number and are still in touch with him, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
Why not?
And I'll tell you right now, Gary hasn't said a word to Larry since they stopped working together.
That's not true.
No chance.
That's not true.
No communication. No.
Chardal says, read my super chat. Chardal, I did. There you go.
Thank you.
Chardal. Oh, and then now we have people. Chardal, let it go. Start your own channel.
He does.
Right, there you go.
He
has his own channel. MF says Larry Yaz is good this year. How about that? Who I didn't think I'd live forever, but now I felt like I have. Yaz is good.
It's early.
It's early. Give it time. All right, let's go.
David Galliata at 10:03 p.m. says that he disagrees about the next year of the Warriors and my premise that they're going to be too old. Or maybe that the landscape's going to be harder. All I'm saying is that winning championships is obviously insanely difficult. And if there's a path laid out for you to achieve it, for Stephen Curry to get a 5th championship that puts him on the Mount Rushmore of all-time greats, you do not, in your mind, let the thought of, well, maybe next year creep in. No, you seize it right now. I don't like the idea of a 38-year-old Steph trying to pursue a championship. That doesn't feel good to me. 37 is even a stretch. So I get it, but to me, you're squandering a massive opportunity if you don't seize it this season. And New York would be a nice touch.
I agree, but I do think it's a 2-year. The Warriors are looking at it as a 2-year, little, window. HR says Rado's better than Radnich. Oh, come on. I've worked with both. I mean, come on.
So did Damon.
Well, look at it this way. I worked with one a lot longer than I did the other.
Yeah. But I mean, even you, as biased as you may be because of that situation, would still not say that Rado's better than Ratty.
Well, look at it this way. One guy can actually talk about sports. The other guy's got a much more shiny personality. I'll give you that.
Is Rado actually doing stuff now? Is he still kind of around right now? Or no?
That's a good question,
dude. I text him and I haven't heard back from him in such a long time. I don't know what's going on. And I wasn't even trying to be like,
who's talked to his co-host, his former co-host more? Me talking to Gary or Damon talking to Rado?
I think we're both on zero.
No, I've had multiple conversations with Ratty. Multiple. There you go.
Conversations with Ray. The only time I ever heard Ray surprised ever is when on the day we both got laid off, I call him, he picks up, and I said, Ray, I can't believe this just happened. He's like, you too? Like he thought that he got let go and I was going to survive. Yeah. So it's the only time I ever heard him actually, emote any wow, I didn't think that was going to happen. It was incredible. So
Aaron Law says, Larry, give us a late Ralph Barbieri and Balky voice post-game breakdown. Voice is a little off today.
I like that. Clear it out. There you go.
I'll tell you something. I like watching Cyrus. He's got a good show. He's very energetic. He's perplexing. Sometimes I listen and I feel I'm perplexed.
Loquacious. You like loquacious?
He's very loquacious.
Don't forget vis-a-vis. You gotta pick one, Tommy. Pick one.
I've always said, I've got great perspicacity. I'm very perspicacious.
All right. So
There
it
is. Forget your angels fly. Angels fly, right? That was his little line.
Craig, let me tell you, I just came back from Disneyland. You gotta go. Believe me, you gotta start in Toontown. I'll tell you, you can look at that park 19 different ways. I've already looked at it. You have to start in Toontown and work from the back to the front. You can't work from the front to the back. Too many people. Go see the Disney princesses. Oh, they're lovely. I talked to this one girl. She's from Fullerton.
It's like you're already picturing all this like kind of creepiness right there. You were talking to her, Ralph. And then of course, Damon, it's funny you should ask questions about a receiver named AJ Jenkins. And let me just say this, Damon, just because you are a Big Ten fan and you haven't heard of him doesn't mean that he's not going to be a spectacular 49er.
The only thing I don't like about AJ is that he's got 2 ACLs. We look for normally players with 1, but we took a risk on a guy with 2. And look where it got us.
I told Shad Khan, hey, look, if you want to fire me, fire me. And sure enough, he took me up on it. He took me up on it. I didn't think he would. I thought it was the kind of thing you just say, hey, you could fire good old Trent Balky, but then that's like your way of not getting fired. But then it didn't work, and I got fired. Man.
Larry, we doing wake up at 9? We got wake up at 9 a.m.
Yeah. We'll be wake up vis-a-vis our channels.
Vis-a-vis. Okay, it's gonna be a short one too because you're gonna get back down to practice tomorrow, right?
Me cheese.
That's right. I've got a big day at practice tomorrow, so we probably should call this right here. We're
that
almost
90-second video.
We're almost and no more. We're almost at the end of a 2-hour extravaganza here. Let's see. We have one more super here. Oh wait, we got that one. We didn't get this one yet. Oh yeah, we did get that one. HR. Oh no, wait, we got this one. From Chardal. Hi, gentlemen. How are you doing? Can I come on? The answer is still no.
Thank you. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Like, subscribe. I got to get out of here. I can already hear Jillian's pissed at me. I'm going to go. Good to see you guys. It's Dan. It's been a long time. Frank, great catching up with you too. Cyrus, we'll see you next week. Larry, see you in a few hours.
Sounds good. See you there. All right. Damon's out. That's going to do it. Do you guys have a final thought you want to share before we bolt for the door? We're 1:56 minutes in, and
Angels fly because they take themselves lightly, Larry.
On that note, we can just call it. Thanks to all of you guys. Thanks to our sponsors. We really didn't shout out our sponsors.
We did not. Gee, I forgot all about that, Larry.
Why don't we throw out our sponsors right here? Of course, the Krueger Show is brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. The Krueger Show is also tonight brought to you by Mancini's Sleep World. Click the link inside the description. Make sure you use the code KRUG10 and you'll get 10% off at any Mancini's locations or any of their locations or online at sleepworld.com. And we're also brought to you by Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California on the Monterey Peninsula. Thanks to Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264.
And for my 2 local sponsors, I promise you get an extra day. I know I've completely forgot. We're at the 2-hour mark. I want to give Decades some love. They are a band that if you're looking for some live entertainment for your version of the Catalina wine mixer, where instead of Prestige Worldwide, who they're not like the cover band of that movie who only played Billy Joel from the 80s. Decades will play music from the 50s to today, from Chuck Berry to Katy Perry. And whether your Catalina wine mixer is a backyard rager, whether it's a corporate fundraiser, an anniversary, a birthday, whatever it is, hire them. They're awesome. They played Eddie D's private event in Montana, the same Eddie D that won 5 Super Bowls. They play all the pregame parties, the red zone rallies for 49er games next door in Great America. They're awesome. Check out decadesofficial.com to book that band, and also Humboldt, of course, Humboldt County. If you're looking for a great place to go, beat the summer rush. The tourists will show up. Check out visithumboldt.com for all the information you need for state parks, national parks, breweries, wineries, all the outdoor adventures. You can get the most photogenic place in the entire country, in my humble opinion, just north of us, Humboldt County. Visit Humboldt.com. And thanks to everyone.
And Chardal, of course, we were just joking with you. We love you, brother. Have a great night. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all of the sponsors. Thanks to all of you guys. Like and subscribe on all these guys' channels. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door.
And
Go ahead.
One last thing real fast. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time, Sophia Jones will join the program to make up for Monday. V for Valkyries. I know you guys aren't. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'm guessing you guys aren't huge on the WNBA. But if you are, the Valkyrie season has launched, and it's just completely hidden because of the Warriors playoff chase right now. But the Valkyries have played preseason games. Sophia Jones is the color commentator for all the radio games. So congrats to Sophia for getting that job. She is my co-host once a week on Golden Days. She will be joining me tomorrow at 3 p.m. We're going to obviously break down this game and the Valkyries. So stay tuned.
I love the WNBA. I love the WNBA. I'm a big fan.
Good. There you go. Okay. So I'll count you in from now on.
All right.
Sounds good. That does it for us tonight. Have a great night, everybody. I'm back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Damon Bruce, and again at 10:45 with Chase Sr. And we're back at Niner Minicamp. Have a great night. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.